What a great time of year to be at Parks Casino and Sportsbook. This is how you win. Pennsylvania's #1 casino experience. So close to New York, North and South Jersey, and Delaware. Action, excitement, entertainment, nightlife, world-class entertainment all summer long. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, the only casino and sportsbook that I recommend. Award-winning dining at the all-new Bamboo Noodle House. What a great place. Plus, the new location offers a full selection of Japanese whiskey and TC's favorite, sake. Specialty cocktails. Enjoy summer happy hours under the stars at the open-air Liberty Bell Beer Garden. Dine in style at Parks Grill, the signature steakhouse. Don't forget the 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, the 115 table games, the best sports book on the East Coast. Joe Conklin, funny guy, every other Thursday. Russell Peters coming, the Wallflowers, Melissa Etheridge and Elle King, comedian Tim Dillon, yada, yada, yada. Great stuff, all under one roof. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, this is how you win. Got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from the Smerconish.com daily newsletter, the Wednesday edition. It was actually in yesterday's edition of the newsletter, and I never got to it. And it's such an unbelievable story that I said to TC, we have to talk about what's gone on at the Northwestern football program, or within the Northwestern football program. TC, tell me some of your hazing stories where you were a victim of hazing.
Right, exactly. I wasn't, and
what?
I'm glad about that. But then again, I mean, there weren't sororities or anything like that when I was at Harvard. Now they have female final clubs. When I was there were only male. There were 12 all-male final clubs, and that's it. So I didn't have an opportunity to be hazed, I guess you would say.
Wait a minute. In the math and science club, like
science and math didn't have anything either.
You didn't have to walk around with a Rubik's Cube on your head or something?
I mean, I was just that big a dork that I did not ever, thankfully, get in the way of hazing. I am just amazed that in this day and age.
What year is it?
Exactly. I am amazed.
It's unbelievable.
Amazed that this is still going on.
When I think about my own hazing experiences.
Oh, you have told us a bit about it.
Football camp in high school was relatively minor. I think when I had hair, there was peanut butter in it or some such thing. It went on. It was on a particular day at the end of summer camp. I remember carrying the water jug every day of the captain of the team when I was a sophomore. No big deal. In the fraternity, I remember during the course of pledging, we did the brick thing on the balcony. I remember we did that.
You did not.
Yes, we did.
Wait, did you really do that?
Yeah.
Or did you just tell the stories of that?
TC,
what?
Of course we did it. Yeah, hold your buddy's brick and then you drop it. Yeah, of course.
I can't even look at you.
I
honestly.
can remember the big brick.
Stop.
I remember being in a coffin during the initiation.
Wait, this is terrible stuff. What are you talking about? So when you say the brick, like you had a string tied around parts of you?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
Michael. Wait a minute. Why are you questioning the sexual part of these?
I'm going to explain to the audience. The brick is nothing. That's like a time-honored tradition. Wait till you hear.
Whoa. I'm sure that's what these people think about this.
No. Come on. The brick thing is like a trust thing. You got to trust your brother. Like he holds.
Wow, you have a string around your
Yeah, but you're
manhood.
not holding his manhood, you're holding his brick.
Oh God. Michael, I don't know,
difference.
Man. I don't know.
There's a big difference. And by the way, we should not be smiling and guffawing about this. We
are against this.
Because the reason that I went with the story yesterday from the Daily Northwestern is that I was really impressed with the collegiate journalism. Like, they've got the details. They broke the story. I think it was a 4-person byline.
You know who I thought of when I saw this piece?
I know exactly. Go ahead.
Right.
I will not steal your thunder.
Sarah Gannum.
Sarah Gannum.
That's exactly who I thought of.
Yeah, no doubt. Former Northwestern University football player told The Daily some of the hazing conduct investigated by the university involved coerced sexual acts. A second player confirmed these details. The former player said he reported his experiences to the university in November of 2022. He alleges that much of his team's hazing centered around a practice dubbed running, which was used to punish team members, primarily freshmen, for mistakes made on the field and in practice. If a player was selected for running, the player who spoke to the Daily, said they would be restrained by a group of 8 to 10 upperclassmen dressed in various purge-like masks who would then begin dry humping the victim in a dark locker room.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what that was. I don't quite understand. Here's what I don't understand. I mean, is it one of those things like it's been done for a while? So like if something is done to you, then you feel like you want to do it to somebody else?
But I'm
like, why would the upperclassmen want to do that?
But why was it ever done? Let me give you a little more. In addition to running, the whistleblower alleged that he witnessed the team participate in other hazing traditions in which freshmen were forced to strip naked and perform various acts, including bear crawling and slingshotting themselves across the floor with exercise bands. In a once-a-year tradition dubbed the car wash, the first player said that some players would stand naked at the entrance to the showers and spin around, forcing those entering the showers to basically rub up against the bare naked man. Upon entering the showers, the player alleged that the player set up a hose they connected to the shower to spray people. It's extremely painful, he said. Like, so much of it is,
naked.
Is sexual.
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, it's not sexual. It's sexual the way rape is sexual. In other words, it's using nudity and sexual organs, but it's control. So it's a power thing. It's not
TC,
sexual.
But it also.
Do you see the difference? Because there's a really big difference in that.
I do, but it also, it's not as if they are simply victimizing the freshman or whomever is getting their time in the barrel.
Right.
They're participating.
Well, that's the thing. That's what
I don't get.
Okay, the only way I can see it is that they're participating because it was done to them, and therefore they're doing it to other kids. Like, that's the only.
I get it.
Like, it's a tradition thing.
Okay, but why did they ever do it?
I don't know the answer to that. Where did it start? What are the origins of the car wash?
I mean, if you and I are going to car wash somebody, we have to get buck naked and spin around while they can come
run
through.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not up for that.
Yeah, but are you going to be the one in the team to say no? You see what happens? It's a group mentality.
I understand
Someone's
the mentality.
Someone's got to stop it.
I understand the mentality of let's put through a rite of initiation.
Right.
The new person.
Right.
What I don't get is their participation in it.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that was just their tradition. Now, the question is whether the coach knew, whether he participated. He's out.
He's out. And now
he was part of they clapped over the heads of whoever they were going to do. And did the coach do that as well? They have it on video.
Right. And then that was like the sign that you'd made a mistake, and now
you're going to be run.
You were going to be victimized.
Yeah.
Then the day 2 story from Northwestern. Like, Northwestern's a great school. They're smart. Like, what's going on?
Okay, but again, I'm telling you, it's tradition gone amok. And who's going to call it out? This is a big team. You have a whole bunch. You can't, like, one person is not going to be the one to do it.
Coaches are aware of this. Coaches, we should do a call segment on this. I'll tell you when we'll do this.
When?
Later in summer, when football camp is underway at high schools and colleges and all around the country. Day 2 of the story then said 3 Northwestern football players described a culture of enabling racism, recalling multiple racist actions and remarks from both the coaching staff and from the players. Further along in the story, another player who asked to remain anonymous and played through the 2009 season said racism on the team was often blatant. He alleged that head coach Pat Fitzgerald would ask black players and coaches to cut off long hairstyles, including dreadlocks, so that they were more in line with what Fitzgerald called the Wildcat way. The player said that the phrase, along with good, clean American fun, was used often by coaches to reference how they wanted players to look and to act.
Huh.
So, incredible story. Hey, by the way, so you're saying, wait a minute, Michael, this is from yesterday's newsletter. I want to find it. I want to read it. On the website, when you click on newsletter and you look at today's 20 different hand-selected by yours truly links, at the bottom, there's an archive feature.
Yep.
So just go to yesterday and check it out, and I think you'll find it very, very much of interest. Listen, TC.
Yes.
More headlines now from Smerconish.com, the Wednesday newsletter. It's like the living will,
right,
with regard to Terry Schiavo. If you remember the conversations back in the day, I would always say, don't worry about being fancy and all legalese. For goodness sakes, write out a living will. Because in the end, that is better than than having nothing. Right?
Okay.
I mean, in the best case scenario for a living will, like go to your lawyer, get it done right, have it notarized.
Sure.
No one can ever challenge it. But if you can't get to the lawyer's office and you don't have a notary and so on, at least reflect your wishes. And I say the same thing about a will in general.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking of Aretha Franklin's couch.
Right. You mean underneath Aretha Franklin's couch cushion?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, go ahead.
The jury only deliberated for less than an hour. I was very impressed by this. This is a headline from the Free Press. Aretha Franklin's handwritten document found under couch cushion is a valid will, the jury rules. A 2014 document handwritten by Aretha Franklin and found under her couch cushion after her death is a valid will, a jury decided Tuesday afternoon. The decision by the 6-person jury capped a 2-day trial in Oakland County Probate Court as Franklin's 5-year estate saga nears an end. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. K. Cal Franklin, on hand with 3 of his children, the Queen of Soul's grandchildren, was jubilant after the verdict. He stands to benefit in a big way from the development, taking over sole ownership of her multi-million-dollar Bloomfield Hills home.
Make clear your wishes. That's the lesson today from the Aretha Franklin case, and it need not be so formal, as has just been proven by that outcome.
Incredible.
Taylor Swift.
Oh boy,
Taylor's
Swift. Version. So this is all about who owns the rights to your artist songs, and Taylor Swift has really been on the forefront of this. She said the originals were sold without her consent or knowledge, and she's retracing them all, and she is re-recording all of her earlier work and re-releasing whole albums with then the name of the album Taylor's Version. People are going absolutely bonkers about this. She is, Michael, that woman is an incredible businesswoman.
No doubt about it.
Incredible.
Yeah, I heard a story about how I guess she's taking the tour now to France and crashed Ticketmaster yesterday and again and again and again. I told you a good buddy of mine, contemporary of mine, my age, went to see her and said, and I trust his judgment because he has seen a lot of shows and we have similar tastes, and he said to me, the greatest live show I have ever seen.
Yeah.
The story that we're making reference to comes from The Ringer. I really like this story. I'm going to share with you one paragraph. TC already gave some of these details. When Taylor Swift announced in 2019 that she planned to re-record her first 6 albums, which were released by Big Machine Records after Big Machine's catalog was sold to Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings and later to the investment firm Shamrock, she became a megaphone for artists across genres who'd been fighting for decades for a bigger cut of the economic pie. Quote from a Duke law professor named Jennifer Jenkins, who is a specialist in intellectual property. She's become a spokesperson for artists' rights and in particular drawn awareness to the perceived unfairness. And now, as TC said, other artists, and she's not the first, but other artists now following in her footsteps. By the way, I think of John Fogerty because John Fogerty, and I don't know why John Fogerty didn't do what Taylor Swift eventually did, but John Fogerty just sat on the sidelines for a long time because he just could not make money from his own catalog, and there was no upside to him performing because of the onerous contract that he had. Here's the rub.
Okay.
The rub is, and I don't know Taylor Swift's catalog. I know that I really ought to invest myself because she must be immensely talented. But I got sort of a wire in my head that when I hear a version even slightly different than the version that I first heard and grew to love, I'm not comfortable with it. And you know this because how many times...
That's not it.
How many times have I said to you, you pulled the wrong version?
The wrong version.
And
It's a live version.
So even a cover by the original artist of a song they sang.
Okay, it's part of the genius.
Okay.
It is part of the genius that she's re-recording it and that she has such a connection with her fans that they are willing, not just willing, they are, when it drops on the midnight that it drops, insanely downloading it. And it's fascinating. I just read a whole article about this new one that she just dropped, Speak Now, a couple days ago, a week ago, maybe now. She originally recorded when she was 20 years old. She's now 33. And the analysis of her 33-year-old voice recording these songs that she did when she was so young actually is so impactful. I mean, it's layer upon layer upon layer. You would love this.
I first became aware of this, of all things, with Kenny Rogers music.
Interesting.
Kenny Rogers is gone, and I love some of the sort of the drinking songs that Kenny Rogers, the storytelling songs that Kenny Rogers. I have to be in the right mood, but every once in a while, I like to listen to Kenny Rogers music.
Drink and cigar in hand.
Yeah. Usually. Yeah. So, Ruby, don't take your love to
Ruby.
So I downloaded, listened to some Kenny Rogers. This is a couple of years ago. And yes, it was Kenny Rogers. And yes, he was singing, Ruby, or he was singing Lady, or he was telling the Gambler story. It was him, but it was slightly different.
I totally get it.
Than the one that was ingrained in my head.
Right, because you played it over and over and over and over again. And Taylor Swift gets that. She understands that. And yet somehow, because of the story that she's been able to tell about being taken advantage of, it's working.
I get it. I also, when I'm at a concert, I want to hear it according to the final version that played on the radio or played on the album.
Don't screw it up.
I just don't. And now I'll make an exception because I totally get it.
What's the exception?
For the Grateful Dead or for Dead and Company. I completely understand how there's no way you're going to hear Shakedown Street the way that it was on the album.
Why not?
I just get it. That's because they are too extemporaneous and meandering and creative on stage. And that is part of the brand.
Well, that's interesting because I sit here every morning pre-show and listen to the Grateful Dead, and I've heard, version upon version upon version upon version of all of these songs.
And they're all different.
Right.
Everyone is different. I have to get to this as well. I love that story, by the way. Of course,
interesting.
All these stories are at Smerconish.com. This is in the category of I Told You So from the Detroit Free Press today. Traverse City Salon refuses to service transgender queer patrons. The Traverse City Hair Salon is receiving backlash after announcing on social media that its business will no longer serve transgender and queer people. If a human identifies as anything other than a man or a woman, please seek services at a local pet groomer. Studio 8 Hair Lab stated in a now deleted Facebook post. I said, after the conversation we had in the last 10 days about the line of Supreme Court cases that include the Baker and now Lori Smith, the website designer, who was a guest of mine with her lawyer on CNN. And remember, this was Colorado, and it was a public accommodation law and her speech right. And she was saying, I speak through the artistry of creating a website, and you can't compel my speech. And I said, this is going to touch off a whole host of bad behavior where in many instances, retailers aren't going to understand what the logic was of the court. They're just going to think that they've got license to deny service to whomever they want. So now comes the question, okay, what would the Supreme Court say about this? Is a stylist speaking? The baker is speaking, okay?
Yes.
The website designer is speaking. The florist is speaking. How about the stylist? The hairstylist. Is the woman who trims my beard every month, is she speaking through her artistry?
Well, and they might have taken down the Facebook post, but it says now in their biography, their Instagram biography says, quote, a private, all caps, conservative business that does not cater to woke ideologies.
Yeah, there will be many, many more of these instances, I promise you. And then there's this from Dartmouth. I remember doing the college tour at Dartmouth with one of ours. And of course, on the tour, I loved Hanover. I loved Dartmouth. I loved the vibe. I was totally into it. As long as you don't want a big city, then you're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful little inn there too.
Right.
You
Yes.
can, like you make a weekend of it and
Yeah.
hang out at the Hanover Inn, I think
There
it
you
is.
go.
Yeah, really cool place, neat pizza places. Anyway, so I remember seeing their fraternity row and of course being told this is not where they filmed Animal House, but this is where it was inspired, or so they say. There's a fun story at Smerconish.com today from Politico. Did you write that headline or did they write that headline? Now, wait a minute.
They did.
Okay.
Clever.
There are a number of spots on the campus of Dartmouth College that would serve as a bucolic background for a presidential candidate trying to win over the student body that gets to vote in the New Hampshire primary. The Alpha Delta House would not seem on the surface to be one of them. Located a stone's throw from the College Green in Hanover, the fraternity, known colloquially on campus as AD and culturally as the inspiration for the film Animal House, is neither imposing nor inviting, and then it goes on to describe the house and how it appears, and yet over the years, as presidential candidates come to Hanover campaigning for the New Hampshire primary, everybody wants to see it.
I mean, even further down, it talks about Bob Dole visiting in 1996.
Bob Dole wants to see Animal House.
I did watch Animal House last night just so I'd be prepared for this visit. That's hysterical.
Everybody loves Animal
love
House. It never gets old. Never gets old. Vote on the poll question today at Smerconish.com. It's just like, how could it be anything other than what I'm asking today? When should Ukraine be invited to join NATO? Now, post-war, or never? Register for the newsletter if you're not already registered. Why wouldn't you be registered? One more thing, like and subscribe right here on YouTube as well. See you tomorrow.